Welcome back to the talk tonight. The case of accused murderer and rapist David Renz is raising major questions and concerns about the way sealed juvenile records are handled, especially when it comes to sex offenses. An exclusive NBC3 News story found Renz was charged with sexually abusing a minor when he was a teen. But police nor prosecutors neither knew that when Renz was arrested and charged with child pornography by the feds in January, those records had been sealed in Onondaga County Family Court. Jim Kenyon joins us now. He's been covering this story for the last month, and it was federal court where Judge Baxter reviewed this case in a bail hearing and decided it was okay, although he was concerned about David Renz, for sure.
Yeah, and there was some mention in that transcript of Renz having certain juvenile trouble. But what that was is not clear, and today a spokesperson for the judge said that he could not comment. Nevertheless, it appears that the feds, federal prosecutors anyway, were not aware that Renz had appeared in a family court proceeding and had been implicated in the sexual abuse of a 9-year-old when he was 15. This was back in 1999. And we found out it only because the alleged victim in this case contacted us.
I think this is interesting for a lot of reasons. One of them is, I think, generally speaking, we and the public didn't realize that when you say that the record is sealed, that means that the court can't look at it and that the prosecutors can't look at it. We knew it couldn't be public. We knew it couldn't be part of a job background check. But that's a whole nother level that I'm not sure that we all were quite aware of.
Well, there is a process to unseal juvenile records, but it's according to Assistant Federal Prosecutor John Duncan and Bill Fitzpatrick, it's a cumbersome process, and one that necessarily cannot be done quickly when you get to a bail hearing or something like that, which has to be conducted within 3 days after an arrest. So these records remain sealed, and a prosecutor or somebody that is involved in this case may not know anything about it.
Jim, I think it's really easy to look at the David Renz case, and a lot of people would say, well, gosh, this is such a perfect example of why we should have these records unsealed quicker for prosecutors to be able to look at. However, there are some really good reasons why juvenile records are sealed in the first place.
Well, yeah, the idea here, and it's well established in law, that you know, somebody can commit an offense in their early part of their life, and why should that haunt them for the rest of their life? So when Senator John DeFrancisco has been conferring with the DA's office, as we reported, and he is going to try to draft legislation to make it easier and more simple for these records to be unsealed, but only when they involve sex offenses committed as a juvenile against, with an accused sex offender as an adult. In other words, if you arrest somebody for a sex offense, the DA would be able to contact the family court judge, family court clerk, and say, is there anything on this person as a juvenile? If the answer is yes, then the records could be unsealed if it's a sex offense.
And fairly quickly, too.
Yes.
And why sex offenses? Is it the concern about the recidivism rate for sex offenders?
Well, John DeFrancisco told me that he feels that there is no real rehabilitation, that there is a proclivity that's early on established, and it goes on into adulthood. You know, there are people who will dispute that. Nevertheless, that's kind of the basis for some of his feelings on this.
It's also worth noting that while this is a hot issue in central New York right now, and Senator DeFrancisco plans to bring it to Albany, it may not be received in the same manner in Albany as it will be received here, especially by perhaps Democratic-led Assembly, which might favor more protecting the rights of a juvenile in this type of case.
This is a procedural change. It just, from DeFrancisco's point of view, it would simply simplify and speed up that process and have it go through the clerk of the family court, as opposed to going through a hearing process with a family court judge.
Bottom line, in the case of David Renz, had these records been unsealed in a more timely fashion, perhaps none of this would have ever happened, is what a lot of people are saying.
That's the question that's haunting a lot of people right now. Yes.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate that, all that insight tonight and all the reporting you've done over the last month, too. If you'd like to join the conversation, many of you have done so by going to our CMY Central Facebook page and our website. You can comment anytime. Also, join us on Twitter, #TheTalkCNY.